Welcome to the Y Generation, a show where we talk about all the things that matter to our generation. We're pumped and ready to rant, so let me introduce you to our panellists. We have Rachel. Hey. Adam. Emma.
Hey.
And Shane.
Too legit to quit.
Let's get this started. Hi guys, I really like this girl in my class at uni and she's really cool. I got her number and added her on Facebook, so now we talk all the time. The only problem is she uses all these acronyms and I have no idea what a lot of them are and I'm too embarrassed to ask her. How can I figure out what these acronyms mean and why are we so obsessed with them? Well, Rachel, why are we so obsessed with acronyms?
Because they're the best, TBH. Yeah. TBH, they're my faves. And I love them. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, they're fun, they're short, we relate. And to be honest with you, I grew up against them. But then I decided, what's the point? Have fun. Have a bit of fun in life.
Emma, what are your thoughts on acronyms?
I guess I'm kind of the same. Like with MSN, I was, all into it, the totes, the lol, BRB, AFK. But, now it's just kind of like, it's getting old.
Shane.
Like, really old.
It's like what Rachel said, just don't reject it. Why reject it? There's no need to. It is good fun. But at the same time, it's pretty interesting as well, like the way people are starting to see acronyms. It's almost like, like English language is phonic and we use individual letters, but it's like becoming our characters. When people read acronyms like LOL, YOLO, all the rest of them, they're actually seeing what it means rather than just like 3 or 4 letters. So I think it's pretty interesting. It's the first time it's really been seen.
That's true.
I understand there are over 4 million acronyms, but what about encouraging laziness and giving negative impressions to like future employers, for example?
No. I feel so affectionate and loved when I'm using acronyms. I mean, the amount of X's I put after a sentence, like kiss, kiss, hug, hug, the like for TBHs I get, it's just, we're living in a society where we're thinking that social networking is like separating us. But if we use acronyms to its full potential, we can really become a utopia, a society. Like just the amount of smiley faces I put to everybody, it puts a smile on their face too. But as you said to an employer, I would only put like 1 X because I have a rule when it comes to X's.
But he'll still go around the office saying YOLO.
Yeah, but I mean, the rule is 1 X is to show like a mutual understanding.
So if you were applying for a position, you would put an X at the end of your cover letter?
Yeah, that's a bit far, don't you think?
There is no way that you would get hired. Do you understand that?
I got hired at a supermarket and I put an X.
Oh, what?
They made me a duty manager. That's great.
Shane, you're laughing at that.
Oh, I just think it's hilarious. Well, no, it's an example that everybody is starting to jump on the bandwagon, even like the older generation and also like the people in, senior positions are opening up to it and having a bit of fun, because that's all it really is. It's like, why take the English language so seriously? We'd all end up like Shakespeare. And
they probably had this discussion a long time ago when we were talking like maybe back in medieval old England when we were all speaking Shakespearean, and then they eventually had to shorten those words too. So I think we're just having a new process.
They were speaking in acronyms acronyms have always existed. Like, we're having a bit of fun with it now, YOLO swag.
Yeah.
All right, we'll TTYL on that topic and move on to something I'm sure we can all relate to. Hey YGen. I just got my heart broken via a text message. Like seriously, one stupid little text message to end our 12-month relationship. How dare he think that he can justify that? I'm so upset. Why couldn't he just say it to me in person? Apparently he was too upset to do it in person. Yeah, right. More like he didn't have the balls to do it. Am I overreacting? Is it okay to break up with someone via a text? Phony. Well, it does hurt to break up. Does a text message sign-off make the pain even worse? What do our panellists think? Emma?
Definitely. You can't break up with someone with a text. I mean, grow up. Grow a pair of balls, guys. Come on.
That's ridiculous.
Girl or guy, you can't do it. It's terrible. I mean, what's it say about the relationship? Like, even if it's just a couple of months, what does it say? Like, it's just meaningless and just throw it out?
Shane, what are you?
I'm just thinking for the personal well-being of whoever's doing the breaking up. What if they're breaking up because the other person is completely, loopy, and there's like knives brought into it and just, total breakdown.
Well, how long was the text message? I mean, like, it could have been like a 10-liner. I mean, that's a pretty substantial message though. I mean, like, I'll agree, like, if you did like one sentence, like it was like, "Soz babes, can't do it anymore," and then that's it. I mean, I'd understand, you know, there's no closure, but you do a good big 10-liner, I mean, you can get really philosophical on it.
Phony does say that they've been together for 12 months.
12 months is a long time, and say if she wasn't like crazy, if she wasn't a crazy person.
You can't, that's horrible. Have you guys done it?
Yes?
No.
Do tell.
You've broken up.
Yeah.
And said soz.
Yeah, but look, there is some actual feasible, you know, reasons to break up with someone text message. Look, it was just 1.5 years. But then look.
Cold as ice.
The problem was, you know, I take public transportation, so I mean, you'd have to take a big chunk out of your day to break up with someone. So it'd take me like, I don't know, what, 45 minutes to get to the girl, and then, you know, I had stuff to do that day. So you just, like, I sent a text message, but it wasn't just a text. Like, I was more considerate. She rang me back afterwards, so I confirmed the breakup afterwards. But I mean, it was all.
Text message.
I am single, by the way.
Yeah,
guys.
it was like, I'm single if you're wondering, babes. So like, I mean, just.
Rachel, you seem shocked by all of this.
That's just ridiculous.
It's not that bad. Like, people make it so like it's the end of the world.
1.5 years. Did that not mean anything?
Well, it was good for the moment, but then, you know, when you break up, it's, you know, it's just.
She's watching this, you know that, right?
How long hadn't you seen her before you broke up with her?
5 days.
Okay, so you saw each other often.
Oh no, well, it's like what, maybe 3 or 2 times a week, and maybe some fortnightlies. Went to the movies.
It's still terrible. You can't do that over text.
And you don't, like, you owe someone more than just a text.
What do you
Especially
owe?
after 18 months.
Yeah, but what do you, like, you keep saying
Respect.
you owe me, but respect. Like,
Adam, on what you're saying, I have here that the 4 times it's okay to break up over a text is one night stands, casual dating, booty call, or an ailing long distance relationship.
You know what? And I agree. That's it.
well, there was long distance for me because it took me 45 minutes to get to her. I had to take a bus and a train. That is long distance.
That is so funny.
Shane, do you have any more views on this?
Adam is just the icon of the Y-Gen man right now.
It's not like I did it via Facebook. I mean, people have done it via Facebook, you know.
That's actually...
Like in a status update?
No, you just change your relationship status to
everybody
single.
to see as well.
Yeah, then you
I've
call
seen
them.
that.
Dumped soz.
Yeah.
It's just...
I could have been worse, but I was a gentleman, so I texted and made a phone call.
Wait, how old were you?
Oh.
This is last week.
That might... that might explain...
I think I was 20.
Okay.
20.
Adam, I don't know if you're going to find a girlfriend after this.
Oh,
Anyway, we'll be back with
He's
more
still
of the Y generation after the break. Welcome back to the Y generation. We're getting straight into our next segment, To Be or Not to Be Y, where we get a chance to express our opinions about those Gen Y stereotypes. Our reporter Jess hit the streets to investigate whether or not Gen Y care about the real issues.
They don't care about nothing but themselves, their computer games, nothing else. They just don't care about anything.
No, that's not true. I don't think so. I think they do care. I think the Y generation does care.
My generation, a little bit like younger, like my age group, a little bit younger, they're just like, oh, I don't care. Like, I'm just going to drink, I'm just going to smoke, I'm just going to like do whatever.
I think like the Y generation do. It's just that we don't really speak up too much about it.
Lots of young people do things like volunteer work and, you know, standing up for politics that they believe in, that sort of thing, you know.
I think that people in the Y generation are very caring about real issues because I think they can see that there is a lot happening in the world and that they're going to be here for a while, so they need to attend to them. Yeah.
Anyone who's been our age is still trying to figure out who they are, so they don't really care about what's going on in the real world.
I've got kids of my own, they don't care less about any issues.
June Rose, doesn't she get you every time? So let's talk about the real issues. Shane.
I think it's exactly what that strapping tradie said. He said that we do care about things, but we tend not to talk up. We don't have much of a voice. We don't have many major media outlets ourselves. We don't have many spokespersons. I think the project might be possibly the only thing we've got going for us, but besides that, we've got very limited outlets to really speak about what we care about. there are a lot of younger people that jump on massive bandwagons in terms of like human rights. Coney right here, and things like climate change and certain, like, there are still young liberal groups. Obviously we care about something, probably not the right thing, but like there are still these youth political movements as well. Like, we do definitely care about these things. And what that other lady said, we've got a lot of time ahead of us, so we're only just getting settled in. We've got all the real stuff to deal with now in the next couple of years.
Adam, you're dying to butt in.
Yeah, but I'm polite. Look, we do care about issues. Like, as you may or may not know, I attended Coney 2012 last year. I bought all the shirts, I bought all the stickers, the Pokemon cards, everything. And I went, like, it was actually a good movement to what it began with. So, you know, social networking was like at its full peak. We all started sharing the video, we started making comments, and we had to cover the night. And I attended this actual event. Now,
how many people attended this actual event?
It was just Adam, yeah.
Now, so...
Adam, how many people actually attended this event?
It was me and 3 other dudes. But, to make a statement though, it doesn't matter how many people that is actually at the event. Like, we all have seen the movie, The Power of One. And we had 4 people, so that's like 4 times that movie. So that's 4 times the power.
Emma, do you think that Generation Y are liking things and commenting, thinking that they're actually making a change when they're not?
They do though. They think, I'm gonna like this. I've done my part for the world today, guys.
That's so true.
Like, so many people do it, you know. I've done it before. I've done my bit for the day. Like, seriously, like, not many people care. I don't think that they, like, want to voice their opinion. Most of them don't care.
Rachel?
No, I agree completely with Emma. Like, I think a small percentage of us care enough to do something outside of Facebook, outside of Instagram. I don't know what happens on Instagram, but like, yeah, I think we think liking things will get us. I mean, how many people shared Coney 2012? Like, I did, I'll admit to it, but I never attended anything because I did my part. We're not doing enough. Like, but do you know what? I think we do care, but just
not enough to do something about it.
Yeah, and also the right issues. I mean,
Shane, what do you think the real issues are? I mean, do our generation care about the environment?
Well, in Australia, like, we've got climate change. Racism is still, unfortunately, a fairly big issue that we definitely need to get onto fairly. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what? We just sweep it under the cover.
We make a joke about it, probably a little bit too much. Like, it is fairly lighthearted in most cases, and we are, like, humorously racist at times, and for the most part, it's not a big deal. But unfortunately, there's a lot of serious stuff that does go on. There's a lot of stuff in the media you've seen, like people in public transport, are still, like, horribly racist, and so, like, outrageously open about it as well. But there's other issues as well that we all have to face, I think, in the world community as well. Like, look how many refugees.
Still pretty big. Animal cruelty.
Animal cruelty is massive.
They've banned hunting in the national parks. I mean, that was a humongous issue.
But they let you hunt in Mount Kosciuszko, where people go walking now.
I'm fairly sure from August this year you may hunt in national parks again.
Yeah, but we're still protesting against it. I mean, I've got hippie friends that are trying to, like, stop it all the time.
But what are you doing about it? Just liking statuses?
I went to Coney. I've done one protest, okay? Like, I've done my part.
What do we think about starvation and food wastage?
It's hard to empathise when we don't suffer from it heavily here. Like, I'm not saying there's no poverty in Australia, there's actually quite a bit, and it's a really sad thing in the first world, but it's very hard to empathise when you can't really relate to anything. We can't relate to that, and we probably don't care as much as we should about those sort of issues. But when it comes to a lot of the upcoming stuff, I think it takes something to happen before we really start caring. You know what would probably be the most feasible thing to happen in the next 20 years? Something really serious might happen to the Great Barrier Reef, and I think we'd get really up in arms if that happened. But sadly, I think that's probably what it's going to take.
All right, well, we're going to wrap that topic up, and we'll be right back after the break to see how Gen Y reacts to an issue closer to home. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Y Generation. Our next topic is certainly a real issue in many homes throughout Australia. Let's hear feedback from our panellists on this controversial subject. Gambling. It's become a recurring hot topic in the media and our day-to-day lives. Do young people have a problem when they frequently bet on horses or play the pokies? Or is it just a bit of fun? Adam.
I'm going to say it that I've always wanted to say. Get off Tom Waterhouse's back. Leave him alone, okay? People think this problem that we can't control ourselves with gambling, and Tom Waterhouse has become a victim of the media. Yes, he has made himself a frequent personality on such shows as the NRL programs and all the such. But the thing about gambling for our culture is that we've been gambling since the 20s. Like, it's just been part of our culture. And some countries like Japan and England and all the such, they've banned it because it's just not part of their culture. But we, as Australians, we love a bit of a punt. And I go to it's like a ritual for me when I go to the pub. You know, you get your 3 skewies of beer, you have a quick slap on the pokies, maybe do a trifecta on the horses, and that's a good night. I mean, why has people got such an up in arms about this situation?
Yeah, but you see some old people like gambling away their pensions, like day after day, they're sitting at the pokies.
But we're talking about our generation.
It doesn't matter.
They're
We're seeing
I don't
it
think we
all
are.
the time.
I really think we're talking about this as a whole because, like, these older people who are gambling away their pensions started off like us, probably just having a slap here and there, and then have really progressed into this habit. And in some cases, completely ruining their lives, tearing families apart, losing houses, ruining marriages.
But because they're gambling on their own. I mean, you've got to make it a social event. I go with my friends all the time to have a bit of a punt on the pokies, and if you're with your mates, you're not going to gamble away all your life savings because you know you need more money for beers.
No way. I see so many of my friends, you know, who gamble maybe $400-500 in a night, and that's like 2 weeks' pay for a lot of people.
I never witnessed it. She was there.
You could have stopped them.
Yeah, Rachel, what do you have to say on this topic?
Look, I agree with you. It's part of our culture. I mean, we've grown up with it. We see it everywhere. But you did say in places like England, Japan, they've banned it because it's not part of their culture. I don't think they banned it because it's not a part of their culture. I think they understand the effects,
the
negative effects of it.
It's like, it's a phenomenon in Australia that we have pubs full of pokies. You go to any pub and there's like 5, 6, 7 pokies, or more in other cases.
Easy.
No other countries have this. England doesn't have it, America doesn't have it, Asian countries don't have it, you know, countries that are fairly similar, even New Zealand to a degree, don't have it anything like we do. You go into a pub and there are no pokies there. It's only Australia that we have this.
I think that to be incorrect. In Northern Europe, they have poker machines in their shopping
Whereabouts?
centres. You can walk out of the shopping centre and play. There's a poker machine sitting outside. But I don't think gambling's as big of a problem as it is in
We associate it with
Australia.
alcohol a lot, and I think that could be part of the problem as well. When you bring alcohol into the equation with anything, you're really lowering your sort of decision-making skills quite significantly.
But what about gambling as an addiction, guys? Not so much like you, obviously, Adam, go and have a flutter. I mean, it really affects some people to the point where they're maxing out their credit cards. They have no furniture in their house. Yeah. They can't pay their mortgages. And someone who's worked in pubs and clubs for 5 or 6 years, I see that if a parent has a problem, it tends to affect their kids as well. The kids then go on to also gamble their money. I mean, that's our generation.
Well, I think you never see the love story where you go up to the guy driving the Maserati with the 6-bedroom house and say, mate, how did you get it? How did you do it? And he's like, oh, I just played the pokies, hey? That's never happened ever. That's never once happened. No one's ever gotten phenomenally rich from going down to the pub and gambling.
Because you know they just keep doing it and
but
doing
they try
it
to make it feel like that's what can happen. All these Tom Waterhouse, that pencil neck, really needs to get off TV altogether. But he's the one that's really pushed it over the edge now. Like, people are so sick of it being pushed in our faces now because this guy is just trying to make it seem like it should be incorporated in everyone's life on a day-to-day basis. But no one gets rich off these things. No one's ever just set themselves up for life because they put a bet on the horse.
But he knows what the punters want.
I mean, there's like an app for it now, so it's like really in your face. You don't even have to go down to the pub. It's just like, oh, there's an app for that now. I mean, it's just terrible.
All right, we're going to leave Tom alone for a minute. Gen Y has the answers for everything, or so they say. But can we come up with a solution to our next topic? With the recent Boston bombings and the ongoing wars in the Middle East, it seems that world peace is out of reach. Is this the case, or does mankind have what it takes to neutralise the conflict and achieve world peace? Rachel, I'm going to go to you first on this one.
It breaks my heart, but I actually don't believe that our world will ever achieve world peace. I mean...
It's pessimistic.
Yeah, I know, especially for me. I love my life. People, I hate it. But it's quitter talk. Yeah, I reckon. But no, but it's true though. Like, you only have to look at history to know that history repeats itself. Like, and since mankind existed, not that I know, but I was there or anything, but like we are constantly in conflict, if not like physical, then the I word.
Ideological.
We're not going to say that word on TV.
Not that I word. No, but sorry. But no, we are constantly in conflict, and that's just the way we are. We're all different, and I just don't think that I will ever, me or my kids will ever see a world with peace.
Emma, what do you think?
No, I absolutely agree. If it's not a conflict about, you know, who's got what land or territory, you know, it's about something else, you know, religion, or someone doesn't believe anything, like someone's opinion, like someone have a punch-up that could lead to a war. This happened.
Adam.
Do you really want world peace? I mean, you're all...
That doesn't mean we don't want it. Of course I want it, but it's just not going to
What is world peace to you? I mean, you're saying there's going to be conflicts of... There's always going to be a conflict. There's always going to be differences.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it's not like they're going over the top. I mean, look about it. We've taken down most of the bad guys. We've taken down Gaddafi, we've taken down Saddam.
But there's going to be another one rise up.
But we're taking the bad guys down.
Yeah, but there's going to be
if you don't want to see these problems, there's an easy solution. Shut the windows.
Let's head over to Shane, because you've been fairly quiet so far on this topic.
Okay, like as surprisingly as cynical as I can be about these topics, I think this is probably one topic that I disagree with all of you. Like, surprisingly, a lot of people don't realize, and it doesn't seem like it, I know, because we have the news now, but we live in the most peaceful time in human history. More people died from smoking last year than conflict. And conflict has become very regionalized and more small scale. Of course, the weapons of war are as worse as they've ever been, but they don't get used to the same scale. If you go back 1,000 years ago, we had the big conflicts. We had the clash of civilizations. It was quite literally half the world and half the world facing it out. You fast forward another couple of hundred years, and then you've got like a clash of nations, which is like World War I and World War II. So the scale gets scaled down a little bit, and then even now in the 21st century, we're now down to conflicts of ideology, which is scaled down again. And you've just got basically, you know, ideological systems, like the Middle East, Islamic extremists, and you've got like neoconservatives in the United States that are battling it out. So there is this trend that's heading towards like a scaling down of conflict, because those who want to wage conflict no longer can, and the ones that want to stamp it out have the power to do so. On the other hand, like the powers that be might have other ideas, but I think it's not so much of a case of can we, it's we really, really have to, because a lot of people forget that after the 1960s and 70s, when we had the whole nuclear weapons arms race and the Cold War and all that, nothing happened to those nuclear weapons. They're still there. They're still loaded. There's like 20,000 of them that are ready to go at the push of a button. They never changed that.
Exactly.
And if another large conflict broke out, they'd get used. It's as simple as that.
It's like a garage sale. Just sell them.
But I do see there is a chance. Like the world is becoming a lot more globalized now and a lot more close-knit. The economy is set up now that the world can't go to war with itself, because it would damage one nation to fight another nation by destroying its economy. So we are setting ourselves up in that economical infrastructure where we can't necessarily. But on the other hand, human nature and reasoning is a very different thing.
So basically what you're saying is if we all became in an economic downturn and we all became broke, we can't afford to go to war.
Well, not so much that. The fact that we don't have a complete breakdown now is one of the things that is stopping us.
I think maybe we should just spend all our money on gambling, and that way we can't afford to buy the guns, that way we can't go to war, and thus world peace.
I think you've solved it, Adam.
Told you.
So Emma, do you think that world peace is out of reach?
I think it is. I mean, you still have those nuclear weapens that are still ready to go at a push of a button. And what if someone just says, you know, I don't like you today? So it's like, well, you know what? Bam. And then that's it. It could be something so small and silly that causes something huge. And even though we're heading in like the way of, you know,
smaller conflicts.
Yeah, smaller conflicts.
There'll be Penrith versus Parramatta next.
Yeah.
Wait till the next A-League, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely going to happen.
So what's standing in the way of world peace? Religion, power?
Human nature.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's just one simple thing. It's just everything.
But is it though? Like you ask anyone, you know, okay, like these world leaders do a lot of stupid stuff, but they definitely don't speak for all of humanity. You ask the majority of the people you know, you say like, do you wish that our troops were at war right now? No one says yes.
So power is standing in the way of world peace?
Do you know what it is? We give power to
But we need
leaders.
to be careful in how we pick our leaders, because unfortunately, you know, more conservative leaders tend to be more irrational when it comes to things like conflict. They don't think in the long term. Like the Cold War was one conflict that really arose from, you know, what had come before it, but also poor judgment on the behalf of the leaders that were in power at the time. We need to be more careful now with the leaders that we pick and the decisions that we make. Like a lot of the larger nations now have much more of a say in what goes on in other countries than even those countries have themselves. So when we elect leaders now, we're not electing them to lead their own countries, but also quite a lot of the world with it. So.
But what about the leaders that we can't pick? Like, what about, you know, in like North Korea and things like that? They can't pick their leader.
As much as they do tend to go on about what a threat they are to world peace and everything, in the grand scheme of things, they haven't got any sway of power in what goes on in the world.
Well, unfortunately, that's all we have time for now on the Y Generation. We're leaving you with an awesome Gen Y video we discovered. We hope you enjoyed as much as we did. See you next time.